They looked from afar and saw a slim woman drawing water from an ancient well in the secondary residence. The scattered starlight fell on her face, and the gentleness of the Jiangnan water town began to emerge. Such a gentle woman, a pair of amber eyes, as beautiful as autumn water, could really stir and move a person's heart. Carefully, they stepped into the yard. The woman noticed them, and a trace of surprise appeared on her face. She asked who they were. He explained they were from outside the palace, there for special reasons. Sumei's eyes flickered slightly. She invited them to sit and went inside to bring warm tea. She apologized for the poor hospitality, saying the mansion was in decline. She offered to fry some glutinous rice for them. Zhao Yi didn't refuse. Sumei quickly served them 2 bowls of hot, fragrant glutinous rice and made some millet porridge for herself. Zhao Yi asked casually why she wasn't eating sticky rice. Sumei replied softly that her stomach wasn't in good condition, and she couldn't eat glutinous rice. Zhao Yi glanced at her. She looked young, with no signs of aging. Her skin was firm and fair, like a woman in her 20s. Yet she was dressed warmly, and the haunted house wasn't cold. After finishing, Zhao Yi asked, "Has the first madam celebrated her 40th birthday many times?" Sumei's pupils shrank. She was surprised. She asked how he knew. Zhao Yi explained that Qi Lin told them and showed her his memo. The handwriting made a hint of sadness appear in her eyes. She sighed softly. Her sister had indeed celebrated her 40th birthday many times. Zhao Yi asked why. Sumei bit her lips, closed her eyes, and said she couldn't tell. Luo Qili changed the subject, asking if the first madam had been good to her when alive. Sumei nodded but suddenly stopped mid-sentence. She realized she'd been tricked. Luo Qili pressed. "So, the eldest lady is dead now?" Sumei gave a bitter smile and repeated that she really couldn't say. She urged them to leave, warning them that the haunted house was dangerous. If they didn't leave now, they might never be able to. The paper man Nani had said the same thing. Zhao Yi replied that they couldn't leave and were trying to uncover the truth to escape. Otherwise, they would die there. Sumei's hands trembled as she gathered the bowls. After a pause, she said she couldn't help and turned to walk back inside. Luo Qili tried to follow, but Zhao Yi stopped her. As Sumei was about to close the door, Zhao Yi asked if she loved the master. Sumei stopped but didn't turn around. After a long silence, she sighed. The master had rescued her from a brothel and cherished her. She was grateful and admired him. Unfortunately, time was short. She hadn't been able to give him a child. She glanced at them, hesitated, but then gently closed the door. Luo Qili whispered that they should have chased after her and questioned her. This woman obviously knew something. She suggested they could try to pressure her. Zhao Yi warned her that if she threatened Sumei, she would die a horrible death. He reminded her that someone who could move freely in a haunted house likely wasn't normal. Luo Qili went quiet. Her expression changed as she looked toward the room again, now filled with fear. The woman had seemed so gentle and harmless. It was almost a trap. Dealing with ghosts for too long had made her think humans were safe NPCs. If Zhao Yi hadn't stopped her, they realized they couldn't get more from the second madam. Should they go to the first madam instead? Zhao Yi asked if Luo Qili had found anything on the west side. She remembered something and pulled out a cloth bag. She had found a special book in a shrine room. It recorded a strange puppet technique. Earlier, with so many people around, she hadn't taken it out. She placed the dusty book on the table. Zhao Yi opened it and scanned through it quickly. A few minutes later, he closed it. Luo Qili asked in disbelief if he had finished reading it. She hadn't dared interrupt him until now. There were hundreds or thousands of words per page. He had just skimmed it. What could he possibly remember? Zhao Yi closed his eyes and said, "Meet Puppet, page 761. Luo Qili flipped to the page. Her pupils widened in shock. She cursed. The book really did describe the smelting method of meat puppets. Meat puppets are made from fresh corpses that haven't decayed. They can carry part of the owner's memories and emotions, but only partially. Their emotions are unstable and easily provoked. Over time, memories fade. They become prone to anger and jealousy. If their life after death isn't too different from their life before, the puppet remains more stable. But once all memory is lost, they retain only emotion and no longer have their own thinking ability. If you want to maintain the memory and emotions of the meat puppet, you need the blood of your loved ones." Damn it, the key part was crossed out. Luo Qili clenched her fists. Zhao Yi quickly took out Manager Qi Lin's memo, his eyes flickering. No wonder the eldest lady always celebrates her 40th birthday. And the paper figurine always says that she is still alive and can still quarrel with the master. Technically speaking, she is not dead. The madam has probably been made into a meat puppet. The two of them set off quickly. On the way, Zhao Yi told Luo Qili that the road on the east side of the main house was no longer safe. As they were walking forward, they suddenly felt a cold breeze. Outside the secondary residence behind them, two black ghosts limped over. Are those the two maids accompanying the second madam? Luokili was not panicked, because Zhao Yi had a token in his hand. But Zhao Yi did not reply. He turned around and looked. Damn, that bastard Zhao Yi has run away. Zhao Yi, wait for me. The calm Luokili suddenly panicked and hurried to catch up. You have a token, why are you running? Zhao Yi said. Those two ghosts are not the ones protecting Su Mei. They were two maids sent by the madam to kill Su Mei, but they were killed by guards sent by the master. Don't you see that their bodies are mutilated? They clearly suffered knife wounds before death. Luokili turned around and took a careful look. Damn, it's true. Zhao Yi, where did you buy your glasses? I want a pair too. You want them? I'll sell them to you. How much? Since we know each other, I'll give you a 50% discount. 1 billion points. Get lost. The two of them kept bantering as they slipped out of the woods. Although the ghost behind them was extremely evil, it didn't follow them to the main house. They gasped for breath. Luokili sat down on the ground, face pale. Damn, this haunted house is really... What the hell? Before she finished speaking, she suddenly realized something. She raised her hands abruptly, her eyes widening. Where did the blood come from? In the faint moonlight, Luokili saw that her hands were covered in blood. Her eyes fell on the ground. A hideous dark red bloodstain spread all the way into the hall. Sure enough, something happened. Zhao Yi seemed to have expected this and was not surprised. Blood covered the floor of the hall. The brazier was kicked over. Ashes scattered in the blood. Next to the brazier lay a mutilated human head. Its skin had been torn off, its original appearance unrecognizable. The paper man butler at the stairs was missing. Sticky rice was scattered everywhere. Zhao Yi examined the bloodstains and looked at the glutinous rice on the stairs. That thing upstairs shouldn't have come down yet. Killing Wang Hua. That was something else. It left bloody footprints. It must have escaped outside. There was a fight in the hall. Some broken furniture edges were smooth. Clearly, it fought the paper man butler. But it didn't win. Don't you find it strange? The purpose of the paper butler is to separate the first and second floors. Without a very specific reason, it wouldn't leave the staircase. Judging by the scene, the ghost that fought it was clearly weaker, but it still picked a fight and used some means to lure the butler away. Luokili's eyes widened. You mean? Zhao looked up. His eyes were fixed behind Luokili. The next moment, he grabbed her by the front of her shirt and ran toward the corridor on the right. Luokili did not resist. She even actively cooperated. At that moment, her hair stood on end. What on earth was behind her just now? She followed Zhao Yi all the way, heart pounding, until they both ran into a dark room and Zhao Yi let go of her hand. It's dead, Zhao Yi said in a serious tone. Who? Paper man madam. It was the ghost who told me to find the second madam to get the token of Qilin. He stood up, walked to the table, and turned on the flashlight. There was a line of blood written on it. It deceived the master. It deceived us all. Please stop it. To go to the moon viewing tower, you have to go to the utility room to get the soul calming incense. The utility room is in the room at the very end. It's over. Luokili scratched her head. She was truly overwhelmed now. Zhao Yi had just said there was a terrifying ghost over there. How could they possibly go and get the soul calming incense now? I roughly understand the ins and outs of this copy, but I need something to prove my guess. Hurry up. We don't have much time. The two of them quickly reached the end of the corridor, where there was a corpse with a tragic death outside the door. His eyes had been gouged out, his tongue ripped out, and he was beheaded. The chest was cut open and the heart was missing. The door of the warehouse had also been violently opened. Strange. Why did that fierce ghost come to the utility room? Is there something it needs? Luokili thought for a moment, then heard Zhao Yi say, it's looking for its keys. That guy wants to go to the second floor. If I'm not mistaken, there are 3 keys in this mansion that open the second floor. One is with the master, one with the second wife Su Mei, and the other is in this warehouse. He found a flint in the utility room, used some flammable materials to make a flame, and lit the soul-calming incense. The two of them ran toward the moon-watching tower holding the incense. From a distance, the building was still brightly lit. It was 3 stories high. At the entrance, Zhao Yi was about to push the door open when he suddenly looked down. There was blood, rare but very fresh. He squatted, touched it, and smelled it. Human blood. Kan Sensen has also come in. The corners of Zhao Yi's mouth lifted. He pushed the door open and entered. The first floor was empty and unnaturally clean. They climbed the old wooden ladder. Each creaking step echoed harshly in the dark. They arrived on the second floor. The smell of blood was stronger. There were 2 rooms in the corridor. The door on the left was ajar. Zhao Yi stepped forward and pushed it open. This was the eldest lady's boudoir. Inside was the seriously injured and dying Pan Sensen. She lay on the bed, face pale, left arm missing, and a large piece of skin torn off her neck. Her eyes had been gouged out, leaving 2 bloody holes. Blood soaked the sheets. Hearing movement, she curled slightly and opened her mouth. A bloody eyeball slipped out. The eyeball was filled with malice and even made a strange sound. Found you. Before it could finish, Zhao Yi kicked it. It cracked. Look for useful clues. Then we go to the 3rd floor. They searched the room. Soon, Zhao Yi found a land deed in the bedside table. The title deed to the royal palace, and the name on it was Fang Qian. How could it be? Luo Qili whispered in disbelief. The owner of this mansion is actually Madame Fang Qian. Isn't a mansion like this usually a reward from the imperial court to meritorious officials? In that case, shouldn't the deed belong to the master? Zhao Yi responded, his tone uncertain. Not necessarily. Aside from imperial rewards, it's also possible the master chose to retire and return home on his own. Qi Lin mentioned he followed the master into battle for 30 years. This suggests that back then, the court was unstable and the country in turmoil. It was people like the master who stepped up to suppress the chaos and help unify the empire. But ironically, when the time comes to reward such heroes, the emperor often finds ways to remove them. But the master was smart. He retired, gave up his power and glory, and returned to a quiet life in the countryside. So, the one we need to kill isn't the master. It's the first lady. The heart we're looking for isn't the master's. It's hers. Zhao Yi searched the bedside drawer and found a diary. Today, he didn't get on the boat with me. Today, he said he loved me, but still didn't get on the boat. The master didn't come with me. It must be that Vixen's fault. If I kill her, he'll come with me. Today, men, they're all the same. None of them are good. All of you can go to hell. I found a book that says if I get the heart of the one I love, I can be resurrected. Since the old man says he loves me, he must be willing to give me his heart, right? Are you willing? Today, he might know what I'm planning. Damn it. Is he going to use my birthday as an excuse to get rid of me? Very likely. I won't just sit here and wait to die. Today, another meaningless birthday. He gave me an exquisite heart, said it was his true heart, that he'd give me everything, even his life. Who would believe that? But the heart really is beautiful. I'll keep it. Today, something terrible has happened in the mansion. The master is dead. His heart is gone. He saw that Vixen before he died. She must have taken it. I have to find it. I must. That Vixen has such a strong guard around her. Damn her. The servant said she visits the 2nd floor of the main house every day. The master's heart must be there. Exquisite heart. Zhao Yi narrowed his eyes and opened Qi Lin's memo again. He found the entry for January 22nd. The old man actually gave her his heart. He clicked his tongue while Luo Qili gasped beside him. The puppet book says that a meat puppet's power and life come from resentment, which accumulates in the heart. The closer you get to the heart, the deeper the resentment. If the puppet fully merges with a real heart, it will become a terrifying corpse ghost. Zhao's eyes lit up. If I'm right, the madam's heart is on the 2nd floor of the main house. She probably thought it was the master's heart and placed it into her own chest. If that's the case, Luo Qili's stomach dropped. Damn, they were done for, and Zhao Yi was getting excited. We're all going to die. Do you have a plan? She shouted. Zhao raised an eyebrow. Follow me. The two walked around the 2nd floor but didn't find what they needed, so they headed to the 3rd. Be ready for a fight, Zhao Yi warned, pulling out the scalpel in his hand. As soon as they stepped onto the 3rd floor, a cold wind howled. Zhao Yi ducked just in time. Razor-sharp hair sliced through the air where his head had been. A moment slower and he would have been beheaded. But trouble never hesitates. As if taunting danger, Zhao Yi peeked out again. The hair came again. This time, he raised the scalpel. When it struck the blade, it split in two, instantly losing all momentum. The two leapt onto the 3rd floor and froze at the sight before them. A pale ghost woman in a red dress was wildly lashing a paper steward with her hair. The paper figure was torn and bloodied. The ghost wasn't much better. Her body was covered in savage wounds, clearly inflicted during her earlier fight with the steward. She turned, baring her bloody teeth, and lunged straight at them. Hold her, Zhao Yi shouted to Luo Qili as he rolled to the side, avoiding her attack. Luo Qili tensed as the ghost flew toward her and clenched her jaw. Damn it, this scene again. A flashback to the secret passage at Kara Asylum. Why is it always me? She narrowly dodged the first strike, changing positions several times and laying down her soul weapons in a staggered pattern. But her gear was nowhere near as effective as Zhao Yi's. It couldn't cut through the ghost's hair brimming with resentment. She could barely hold her ground. Suddenly, a bright arc flashed through the air, clean and sharp. The ghost's head flew off. Black, foul-smelling blood sprayed into the air. For a moment, her face showed fear and defeat. The cut was clean. What fell to the ground was a paper guandao. Luo Kili panted heavily, sweat dripping down her neck. She turned to see the paper steward, now free, holding the weapon in one hand and a soul-calming incense stick in the other. That ghost dragged the steward into the moon-watching tower and used the tower's power to suppress him, Zhao Yi said, helping her up. He took out the steward's badge, Captain of the Fire Cavalry, and held it before Qi Lin. Listen to me, Qi Changguan. Your master is in serious trouble. He quickly explained everything, including the news that the eldest lady's flesh puppet had moved to the second floor. Qi Lin could no longer stay still. With Guan Dao in hand, he burst through the window and charged toward the main house. Can he really beat the madam's puppet? Luo Kili asked, her voice tight with concern. Zhao Yi rummaged through drawers and cabinets as he answered. In the past, no problem. But now, it's not that simple. He's badly hurt, and the closer the puppet gets to the heart, the stronger it becomes. Luo Kili picked up a round glass ornament from nearby. This what you're looking for? Zhao Yi's eyes lit up. Where did you find that? On the female ghost, she said. I saw a bulge on her and thought it was a weak spot. Guess it wasn't. Zhao Yi examined the glass sphere. It radiated a gentle warmth, something that could restore sanity and calm the mind. This is the master's heart, Luo Kili asked, surprised. Zhao Yi nodded. We need to get this into the madam's chest. It'll dispel all her resentment. And once that's gone, she dies. If you want to live, go to the deputy house. Find the second wife. Tell her what's happening. We can't win this final fight without her. Luo Kili clutched the token, eyes burning. You better stay alive, Zhao Yi. I'll be back. Without another word, she turned and ran. Just then, an explosion rocked the main house. Qi Lin flew from the second floor, landing heavily on the ground. His paper body was almost destroyed. Laughter echoed from above. Two figures emerged. One, a flesh puppet with a gaping bloody hole in its chest, pulsing with a grotesque heart. The other, a heartless corpse with a rotting face and the stench of death. Finally, I'm alive. The eldest lady's smile twisted into something monstrous, her eyes seething with hatred. Everyone in this house must die. Chief Qi, I'll help you hold off your master. Hold the first madam's flesh puppet. Just hold on until the second madam arrives. Zhao Yi pulled out his blood-stained scalpel. His eyes gleamed with growing excitement. As a zombie, the master's combat power was immense. But with his heart taken by the eldest lady, his movements had slowed. While the paper steward battled the lady, Zhao Yi launched into the fight. The old man had almost no mental awareness left. With his heart gone, he reacted purely on instinct. As the corpse adjusted to life without a heart, it moved faster. Soon, it exploited Zhao Yi's weak point and struck. Zhao Yi crossed his arms to block. Bones cracked, pain surged, but there was no sign of suffering on his face. On the contrary, he looked even more thrilled. He stumbled back, his arms slowly regenerating. Meanwhile, Chief Qi's battle was even more desperate. Facing the eldest lady, who now possessed his heart, he was clearly outmatched. Qi Lin was already heavily injured. Cracks ran through his paper-thin body, blood seeping through. He looked as though he might shatter with a strong gust of wind. But he held his Guandao tight, refusing to let go. Weak little insect, why keep struggling? In the face of true power, all else is meaningless. The flesh puppet let out a shrill, unsettling laugh. His eyes grew colder. Black veins spread across his skin. He was prepared to unleash his darkest personality again if he had to. Even if it came at a cost, he would wipe the field clean. But for now, he held back. The situation was still manageable. According to the timing, Luo Kili should arrive soon. And then, just as the puppet lunged, two ghostly figures flew in from a distance. They were the two ghost guards assigned to the second madam. Without hesitation, they launched themselves at her. Luo Kili and the second madam came running, out of breath. Zhao Yi saw the deep gash on Luo Kili's back and knew she must have encountered the eldest lady's loyal ghosts on her way here. Madam, he said, you don't have a choice anymore. If you still feel any gratitude toward the master, help us destroy that puppet. Let the master finally rest. Su Mei's beautiful face twisted with grief. She smiled sadly. This is all my fault. If I hadn't clung to the master, if I'd burned his body and buried my sister's heart like he asked, none of this would have happened. Now Chief Qi is dead, and the entire Wang family is suffering. At that moment, Su Mei stepped forward and wrapped her arms around the zombie that was once her husband. And he calmed. After a pause, Su Mei slowly unbuttoned her thick robe. Without a heart, it must hurt, right? She plunged her hand into her own chest. With a trembling hand, she tore out her heart, still beating, and placed it into the hole in the zombie's chest. The heart fused into the corpse. The old man's vacant eyes slowly regained their clarity. He caught Su Mei as she slumped forward, the light fading from her eyes. My love is mine, my love is mine. She hummed softly in his ear, voice fading. Her eyes glowed with longing. It was the song she had sung the first time they met, when she was still a geisha, and he was just a guest. How she wished time had frozen at that moment. If only life stayed at the first meeting. A faint smile curved her lips. Her life slipped away. Tears of blood fell from the zombie's eyes, dripping onto Sumei's chest. He slowly rose to his feet, eyes bloodshot, fists clenched. He turned to face the flesh puppet, now a monster, which had just shredded the ghost guards into a red mist. I treated you well. I never saw you as a puppet. I gave you my heart. So why did you do this to me? The eldest lady had completely merged with her heart. It was laced with bitterness and deep, violent resentment. How ridiculous. You never saw me as a puppet. To you, I was always a substitute. In this mansion, no one, not the high nor the low, acknowledged me. You say you cared. No, you only cared about Fang Kian. And that dead bitch. Let me tell you something, old man. I'm not Fang Kian. I'm your nightmare. The deadly auras clashed in the air like raging torrents. The woman, now a corpse ghost, was terrifyingly powerful, but the zombie master, having merged with his lover's heart, was no less dangerous. When their fists collided, thunderous shockwaves erupted, leaving people's heads ringing. The zombie's body was monstrously strong. With a single punch, he sent the corpse ghost flying. But the ghouls weren't giving up easily. As they battled the zombie, they also tried to interfere with his movements using mental force. The zombie began to slow, just slightly, enough for the ghouls to slash deep gouges into his body. His flesh tore open instantly. Zhao Yi and Luo Qili dragged the battered body of the paper steward, retreating from the battlefield. This paper man's tough. His head was chopped off and he's still alive, Zhao Yi said, kneeling and attempting to reattach the head. As the head settled into place and the steward's painted eyes regained their spark, Zhao Yi nodded in satisfaction. And his arm too, Luo Qili added, gleefully reattaching the severed limb. It needs a blood transfusion, Zhao Yi muttered, pulling out a scalpel with a calm smile. Luo Qili, sensing something was off, turned to flee, but Zhao Yi caught her by the collar and yanked her back. Zhao Yi, what the hell? Before she could finish, Zhao Yi slashed her wrist. Blood poured out, splashing onto the paper steward. Hey, that's enough, Luo Qili cried. I don't have much left, I'm dying here. Her face paled as the blood kept gushing. The wound was deep. She felt her strength slipping away fast. When Zhao Yi decided it was enough, a strange tentacle-like growth closed her wound. He then cut his own wrist and offered more blood to the steward. Butler Qi, Zhao Yi said, listen to me. Your master may be powerful, but the corpse ghost is overflowing with unresolved resentment. It hasn't even fully adapted to its strength yet. When it does, your master will be doomed. There's only one way to defeat it. You have to dissolve the resentment inside. We're too weak to get close. But you might have a chance. He handed the broken Linglong heart to the paper steward. This heart carries the love your master had for the lady. If you place it inside the corpse ghost's chest, it might dissolve its hatred. The steward's painted face grew hideous. Blood oozed through the bright pigments as its expression twisted. Fool, the corpse ghost snarled. Enraged, it forced the zombie back and turned to intercept the strike. The Guandao's sharpness caught even the ghost off guard. It cleaved through the corpse's arm, split the body in half, and stabbed deep into its chest. The blade nearly pierced the heart, but it was blocked by a wall of teeth encasing it. The grotesque mouth surrounding the heart clamped down on the blade. The corpse ghost grabbed Qi Lin by the neck and sneered. Pathetic. Risk your life all you want, it still means nothing. With its free hand, it crushed the Linglong heart in the steward's grasp. You thought this little trinket could defeat me. How naive. As the ghost gloated, a scalpel suddenly pierced its back. Its smile froze. It looked down in shock. The scalpel, so small and unassuming, had sliced through the protective mouth and dug out the heart. Its eyes widened in horror. No, it spun around, ready to kill the one behind the attack. But Zhao Yi jammed a warm, bloody heart into its chest. A golden flame burst from within. Zhao Yi smiled. Sorry, what Qi Lin held was just a shell. I kept the real heart. The ghost lunged for Zhao Yi, enraged, but a cold hand caught its head. Its eyes shrank in terror. The zombie crushed its skull. Dark resentment flooded the air, rushing toward Zhao Yi like a wave, trying to possess him. They howled, clawed, and poured into his body. But inside his spiritual world, there was silence. Like ice melting into water, the resentment simply vanished. Master, I'll be going now. The paper man smiled softly at the zombie, then dissolved into ash and scattered on the wind. Only the cold bodies of the first and second madams remained. The zombie knelt beside Su Mei's body, gently stroked her face, and let out a long sigh. A hand rested gently on the zombie master's shoulder. Earlier, I asked the second madam something, Zhao Yi said. She told me. She's always loved you. At least now, she and her lover can be together forever. It was my greed that killed her. She shouldn't have paid the price for my stupidity, the zombie said quietly. The two madams were buried. The zombie thanked Zhao Yi and Luo Qili. When Zhao Yi asked about the strangers who spoke of eternal life and wore unfamiliar clothing, the zombie paused, then shook his head. I don't remember clearly. Their clothes looked like yours. Zhao Yi raised an eyebrow. Like us? Not from this era. They gave me some corpse refining documents. Called themselves members of the Skull Church. I'd never heard of them before. They claimed that if I refined my heart, I could fully revive a Kayan. They said I could become a living dead, someone who doesn't need a heart and can't die. I was too greedy. Akayan and I were closer than family. She died in childbirth at 40, and I couldn't accept it. I preserved her body with medicine and searched everywhere for a way to bring her back. I eventually found a mechanical manual from the Gongshu clan. Every midnight, Mayor would feed me her heart's blood to help me retain a shred of clarity. His voice grew quiet. To keep him sane, Sume had gradually refined herself into a living dead. A living person couldn't offer their heart blood, so she turned half dead. Zhao Yi and Luo Qili finally understood. Sume had worn thick clothes to hide the gaping hole in her chest. She refused glutinous rice because her undead body now rejected it. Night passed. They entered the 5th day. The cracks ahead were wider now. Luo Qili was stunned. What she once thought was a red glow was a blood-red eye. Behind the crack, a monstrous ghost was watching them. She struggled to stay calm. Is there a ghost behind the crack? Zhao Yi was busy with his camera. Yeah, every player in the demonic tide probably has one following them. When we reach day 7, we'll have to face them directly. Luo Qili's fingers trembled. She was strong-willed, but those haunting eyes chilled her to the bone. Relax, it can't touch us until day 7. Zhao Yi clicked the final part into place. The camera powered on. So that's how it works. Zhao Yi nodded in understanding. What did you realize? Luo Qili asked. This camera captures an image of the world 24 hours ahead, he explained. So, if someone shows up in the photo, that means they'll appear the next day. Luo Qili's eyes lit up, but then she hesitated. But we don't really need it right now. If we just stay outside the dungeons, won't time move forward naturally? That's what's strange. She frowned. If we can just wait it out safely, why would our future selves risk so much just to finish those dungeons? Zhao Yi smiled, eyes calm. Because the real challenge of the demonic tide isn't surviving until the 7th day. It's escaping the secret realm alive. Without this camera, once day 7 comes, we die. What are you searching for? I'll help, she offered. An open area, Zhao Yi replied. Soon, they arrived at a square and waited quietly. In one corner of the square, Zhao Yi took out his camera and snapped a photo. There it was, the ghost in his eyes captured on film. Luo Qili did the same, taking a few shots with Zhao Yi's camera. She pointed it toward a nearby abandoned cesspit, muttering to herself, let the ghost taste some of that filth. But when she lowered the camera, she could still see the ghost. Zhao Yi, why can I still see it? It's normal, Zhao Yi replied. If we didn't have the camera, once the mirror fully shatters on the 7th day, the ghosts would just enter and kill us. But since we have it, and it captures the space and time 24 hours ahead, including the ghost, it means the ghost has to appear where we filmed it. That's our escape route. Luo Qili's eyes widened with realization. Wait, when you say mirror, don't you find it strange that everything's reversed? This whole secret realm is inside a mirror, Zhao Yi explained. The ghosts are outside, trying to get in. They need 7 days to break through. So escaping this secret realm means escaping the mirror. Luo Qili grabbed his arm, furious. If you already knew this was the only way out, why didn't you stop me earlier? I thought maybe you had unusual tastes, Zhao Yi said. I was going to say something, but since the dungeon is ending anyway, I figured, why not let you enjoy it? If that's what you like, go for it. Luo Qili stared at him in disbelief. Enjoy it? Seriously? She wanted to disappear. By early morning, many players had gathered in the square. Each had a different method for escaping the mirror, but the open space gave everyone a better shot at surviving. Tension filled the air. Snap! Everyone heard it, the sound of glass breaking. The barrier between their eyes and the evil spirits had shattered. Twisted, vengeful ghosts crawled through the cracks in the mirror. Some vanished from view, reappearing elsewhere. Others immediately attacked, tearing through unprepared players. These ghosts were fast, relentless, and had specific targets. Players scattered in panic. Zhao Yi took out his adulterous skateboard. Get chased by a ghost. No thanks. He and Luo Qili sped off, leading 2 ghosts on a wild chase toward their filming spot. Suddenly, a massive female ghost lashed out with her tongue, now a blood-red blade aimed straight at them. Zhao Yi swerved, dragon-like, avoiding the deadly strike. Off now, Zhao Yi shouted. They jumped off the skateboard and sprinted in opposite directions. Zhao Yi passed through the broken mirror and vanished. Luo Qili stopped in front of the cesspit mirror, hesitating. Behind her, the ghost approached rapidly. Oh no, here we go. Gritting her teeth, Luo Qili held her breath and leaped straight through the mirror. Live stream chat. Damn, Luo Qili is fearless. If it were me, I'd rather die than jump into a cesspit. Do you think she'll be traumatized every time she sees one now? Maybe not the pit, but definitely traumatized by Zhao Yi. When he regained his vision, Zhao Yi was already standing outside the guild headquarters. Congratulations to players Zhao Yi, Qin Yu, Bai Shuiji, and others for completing the Secret Realm trial. Rewards: 60,000 points and a green destiny treasure chest. The survivors nearly lost their minds with joy. Not only did they gain valuable experience and useful items, but more importantly, they earned 60,000 points and a chance at rare gear from the destiny chests. Even after returning most of the points to the guild, each of them still had 10,000 left over, and that green destiny chest had a chance to yield blue, or even purple, items. This felt like going from riding a bicycle to roaring off on a motorcycle. Just then, the system sent a message. From Liu Ruoking. Come to my room. Zhao Yi stared at the message, his gaze lingering. Sit, she said with a smile, charming, with a hint of drunkenness in her eyes. She smelled of rose petals and red wine. You probably guessed that the Red Devil incident was just a test. It never posed a real threat to me. Zhao Yi smiled. What do you want me to do? Her fingers moved through the air, and a strange red light shimmered. A silver-haired little girl appeared in the room, covered in scales that looked like a cross between snake and fish. Tomorrow, all the guild elders are leaving, Liu Ruoking said. I don't know if I'll return, so I'm leaving the Red Devil in your care. Zhao Yi raised an eyebrow. Where are you going? She hesitated. The Immortal Road. You're not ready to understand. Best not to mention it. The Red Devil can't go. That path is too dangerous, filled with disasters and unspeakable horrors. But she can attach to your spiritual world and follow you to most places. And you're not allowed to eat her. Zhao Yi glanced at the little girl wrapped in red scales and muttered. What a pity. But I owe you. Liu Ruoking handed him a special ID card. Once we're gone, no one at the guild will protect you. Xiang Babing or others may cause trouble. This card is for the warehouse manager. With it, they won't be able to touch you. As for dungeon missions, you're on your own. To most, this little girl was a terrifying creature connected to ancient beings. Even Liu Ruoking had to take special precautions while she was parasitized by her. But Zhao Yi was different. He wasn't guarding against the Red Devil, she was guarding against him. After calming her down, Zhao Yi sent her into his spiritual world. The outer fringe. The moment she entered, she saw the eye of a storm churning in the abyss. A massive bronze pillar rose from the darkness, disappearing into the sky. Demons were chained to it, howling, gnashing their teeth. Another one comes. Welcome, child. Endless torment awaits. Join us in the eternal agony. What's down there? She asked in a small voice. Another me, Zhao Yi replied. She hesitated, then stretched her hand toward the abyss. A faint stream of chaos flowed into her body. It came from Zhao Yi's darkest self. Whenever he released its side, chaotic forces spilled into his spiritual world. Normally, they would accumulate dangerously. But now, he might have found a solution. How much can you absorb? He asked. I can only take in a little each day, she replied. Zhao Yi stroked her head gently. Good. She was eating away at the chaos, and doing it 3 times faster than before. To put it into perspective, in the past, if Zhao Yi released his dark side for 6 minutes, he'd need 6 months to recover. Now, only 2. And if he used just a fragment of that power, an arm, a leg, a heart, he might only need a few days to recover. He smiled and patted her head affectionately. Do your best, and I'll feed you something good later. The Red Devil glanced toward the chained demons and swallowed nervously. Hard to say if it was fear or hunger. His next target, the steel processing plant. At Guxuan town, he booked a few rides. But as soon as drivers heard his destination, they kicked him out of the car. Sorry, kid. We can't go there. It's haunted. Even a ghost driver trembled, cigarette in hand. Zhao Yi rolled his eyes. A ghost afraid of ghosts. Eventually, he called the warehouse ghost, who clearly knew about the place too. While driving, it warned him. That plant isn't normal. Dangerous. Lots of powerful ghosts disappeared there. Zhao Yi smiled. The train station was dangerous too. I made it out. I can only take you this far, the ghost said. Ahead, the factory loomed in the mist 200 or 300 meters away, just a shadow in the haze. The warehouse ghost had done all it could. No one else would have come this far, no matter how much ghost money you offered. It's fine. I'll walk the rest. Thanks. Zhao Yi stepped out. The ghost lit a cigar and said from the driver's seat, "I'll wait here for 7 days. If you're not back by then, I'm leaving." Zhao Yi waved, then walked into the mist. As Zhao Yi crossed the threshold, a system message appeared. "Do you want to enter the large world instance?" Without hesitation, Zhao Yi selected yes. Instance, Rust. Main mission, uncover the truth behind the plant's decay. Hidden mission, main quest rewards, 300 XP, 15,000 points. Hidden mission reward. Difficulty, his vision blurred. When it cleared, he found himself in a small open yard just outside the steel plant. Around him stood dozens of ghosts, each holding a brand new blue work uniform. In front of the group stood a bizarre figure. Its head was human, but the skull was split open with wires running into its exposed brain. "We've worked hard this year. Next year, the boss is buying a new car. We keep grinding. Next year, the boss gets a new house. We struggle together. Next year, the boss becomes the local tycoon." Zhao Yi rolled his eyes. He had never heard such a blunt, shameless speech before. In the real world, a talk like that would have sent all employees fleeing. "Of course," Chen Fei continued, his tone turning colder. "Hard work is important, but following the factory rules is even more so." He grinned, a cruel, unsettling smile. Everyone present shivered. "The rules will be posted near your station, with your name and instructions," Chen Fei said. "Everyone has different tasks and different rules. Now, suit up, check the bulletin board for your assignment, and be at your station by 6 a.m. Zhao Yi threw on the uniform casually and walked to the bulletin board. His job, transport rusted items to the steel melting furnace. His workstation wasn't fixed, giving him more freedom of movement. A small cart was waiting for him on the west side lawn. Factory employee Zhao Yi, code of conduct. Avoid getting injured in the factory at all costs. If wounded, contact your manager immediately. With an experienced employee present, disinfect the wound thoroughly using the provided medicine until a film forms. If your skin starts itching, do not scratch. You may slap or pat to relieve it. Fighting is strictly prohibited. Do not lose your assigned cart during work. All employees and managers wear blue uniforms. If anyone in gray approaches and asks to borrow something, do not engage, walk away immediately. If you see someone in red, stop everything, close your eyes, and lower your head for 1 minute. No matter what you hear, do not open your eyes. If your shadow disappears, find a shaded area within 5 minutes and remain there until it returns. Day 1 rules and tasks are simple. Do not postpone any work. No one in this factory wears black. If you see someone in black, call security immediately and remain in place until they arrive. To become a model employee and earn a lifetime position, strictly follow all the above rules. Good luck. There were thousands of workers in the factory. An old employee brought in just a few dozen newcomers and assigned them different tasks in various areas. For new hires like Zhao Yi, who had just entered the steel processing plant, the job was simple. Weeding. They were responsible for cutting rusty plants from a vast lawn inside the factory and spraying them with a solution that accelerated wound healing. Zhao Yi and 2 other ghosts, Jiang Ming and Yingxing, were in charge of transporting the rusted grass to the steel melting furnace. By the time they reached the edge of the massive lawn, the sun had started to rise behind the clouds, casting a reddish glow like the center of a half-cooked egg yolk. Across the lawn, dozens of ghosts picked up their tools and prepared to start working. In just 7 or 8 minutes, Zhao Yi's wheelbarrow was full of rust grass. Following work protocol, he began pushing the cart toward the steel melting room. Along the way, he carefully observed the rust grass in the cart. Besides the rust already on the blades, what stood out was the fresh rust forming on the newly cut edges. Rust, neutral. Note, what are you thinking? It's just ordinary rust. Rust forming so quickly on fresh cuts. The rules emphasized avoiding wounds on the skin. That meant the source of infection was likely airborne, like microscopic particles or viruses, and the skin acted as a barrier to prevent its spread. Zhao Yi thought about the rules he had learned. Several of them focused on preventing employee infection. This wasn't good. Any confrontation, even minor accidents, could lead to wounds, and once exposed to air, the infection might set in. But what exactly happens if rust begins to grow on a person's body? Zhao Yi's curiosity deepened. He reached the steel melting room. It was not what he expected. The space was large and empty, with no oven in sight. Instead, 3 conveyor belts stretched toward the entrance. At the end of each belt was a massive decaying human head, about 30 times the size of a normal one. Its mouth was wide open, filled with rust-covered, razor-sharp teeth. "These damn rusty weeds. Every damn day," it muttered, clearly annoyed. There was a violent energy coming off the worker. Zhao Yi studied him closely. His arms trembled slightly as he moved the grass. The gloves seemed unnaturally firm, as if something filled them. Zhao Yi glanced at a nearby abandoned table. Thumbtacks, some had dried blood on them. He walked over, picked up one stained with blood, and tucked it into his inventory. "These going to be melted too?" he asked. The worker turned and barked, "Melt it. A few days ago, some idiot dumped in something that wasn't even rusty. No markings, just thrown in a sack. How many times do I have to say this? Sharp objects that can cause injuries must be clearly marked and sealed in transparent airbags. Damn morons." He shook his head and pushed his cart back toward the lawn to load another batch of rust grass. By now, the sun had fully emerged, its harsh light and heat blazing down. Zhao Yi suddenly felt something inside him start to dissolve. It was an unbearable sensation. The longer he stayed in the sun, the worse the feeling became. It was like losing something vital. Sweat poured down his face. He looked down, his shadow, fading, nearly gone under the blinding sun. His body felt desperately dry. Without hesitation, Zhao Yi sought shade, away from the direct sunlight. Thanks to the many buildings in the factory, finding a shaded area wasn't hard. He pushed his cart to the side of a wall and squatted down in the shadow. The emptiness inside him slowly faded. The thirst disappeared. He looked out across the sunlit lawn, now glowing white with heat. The ghosts kept working diligently. Their shadows remained strong and unchanged. Strange, the ghosts were unaffected by the sunlight, while he, a living human, had to hide in the shade. The ghost's shadows didn't fade at all. Was it because he was human, or was it something else? Zhao Yi kept observing. At the edge of the lawn, he saw a lone cart. They must be avoiding the sun too. It seemed like each job had different rules and risks. Zhao Yi was silent. He stretched his hand into the sunlight to test something. His shadow, which had nearly vanished, now returned to its full form. "Color?" Zhao Yi whispered, eyes sharpening. "Yes, it's the color." The blue uniform of the man in the steel melting room. It had faded. When Zhao Yi first saw him, the color was already lighter than his own. And during their conversation, it had faded even more. Why did the clothes lose color? As Zhao Yi pondered this, a figure approached from the distance. No one paid attention. The employees on the lawn were too busy trying to meet their rustweed quotas. Zhao Yi narrowed his eyes and watched the person walk to the lone cart by the lawn, then simply pushed it away. That person wasn't Jiang Ming or Yingxing. He wore gray clothing and walked with a limp. His injured leg dragged behind him, as though it carried a heavy burden. Gray-clothed man, neutral triggered. Weakness, none. Note, you may speak to him, but don't lend him anything. Don't spend more than 5 minutes with him. The longer you stay, the more dangerous he becomes. He watched the man until he disappeared from view. Not long after, a surprised shout broke the silence. "Where's my cart? Damn it, are you messing with me? Who took my cart? Stop playing around, I'm serious." The ghost named Yingxing, sporting a Mediterranean hairline, shouted in frustration. An aura of menace surged around him, but the nearby ghosts merely glanced his way and went back to work. They even seemed pleased. After all, there was a cap on how many employees could be selected as outstanding. One less meant fewer competitors. Yingxing threw a dramatic series of Thomas-style military punches at the air, then glared at Zhao Yi with bloodshot eyes. "You sneaky human. Did you hide my cart? Afraid I'd win the Outstanding Employee Award over you?" He stormed over aggressively. Zhao Yi glanced at him and shrugged. "Wasn't me." An old man in gray came and pushed it away. Just then, another voice chimed in from a distance. He took it. His own cart was gone, so he took yours instead. They turned to see a skinny ghost with a pointed chin and monkey-like cheeks standing next to a gangster-looking ghost. His eyes gleamed with mischief. The gangster also grinned coldly. Yingxing slowly turned back to Zhao Yi. "What do you have to say now?" Zhao Yi pointed at his own cart and smiled. "Wanna check it?" Yingxing narrowed his green eyes and pretended to inspect it closely. He bared his teeth in anger. "You sly human. This is clearly my cart. The wheel patterns match exactly. You lost yours and took mine. I'm calling Big Brother Chen Fei right now." A thumbtack appeared in his palm. Zhao Yi judged the distance and angle, then flicked it behind Yingxing's feet with the help of his cart. He grabbed the cart firmly. Seeing this, Yingxing rushed over and grabbed it too. They began a tug of war. In any contest over possession, people tend to shift their weight or step back to maintain balance and dominance. This step could be short or long. Yingxing's first step didn't hit the thumbtack, but Zhao Yi adjusted the force of his pull each time Yingxing moved, step by step. On the third shift, Yingxing stepped squarely on the hidden tack. It pierced the sole cleanly. His expression twisted. He lifted his foot and removed his shoe. Blood oozed out, along with signs of athlete's foot. He picked out the tack and tossed it aside, brushing off the incident. Sure, the rules said any surface wound required immediate attention from the infirmary, but it was just a thumbtack. No big deal. The wound should heal instantly, or so he thought. Then, he moved his leg. Something felt wrong. There was something in his soul. Sharp pain mixed with intense itchiness. That wasn't from a simple wound. Alarmed, Yingxing checked his foot again. His pupils shrank. From the tiny puncture, a jagged, irregular patch of rust was growing. He reached to scrape it off. Pain exploded. The rust had embedded itself deep in his flesh. As he peeled it away, chunks of skin and muscle came with it. Blood sprayed everywhere. Panic surged. Yingxing grabbed his pager and called Chen Fei, briefly explaining the issue. And of course, he mentioned Zhao Yi stealing the cart. "You're done for, human. Foreman Chen Fei will be here soon. When he sees you took my cart, you'll be kicked out of the factory." Zhao Yi didn't respond. His eyes were fixed on Yingxing's foot. The bleeding had stopped, not because of healing, but because the wound had crusted over with thick patches of spreading rust. Zhao Yi's silence and stare made Yingxing uneasy. His gloating face twisted into panic. "My legs, why can't I move them?" He looked down. Terror filled his eyes. "Damn it, why is there rust growing on me?" Chen Fei arrived, dragging a heavy chain behind him. The clanking echoed ominously across the yard. This terrifying, powerful monster was thankfully rational and on their side. "Who called?" Chen Fei's voice boomed. Yingxing raised his hand instantly. Chen Fei rushed over, saw the rust, and his expression darkened. "Foreman Chen, that human stole my cart." Even now, Yingxing's first concern was blaming Zhao Yi. Several other ghosts backed him up, but Chen Fei wasn't paying attention. "How long has the rust been there?" "A few minutes." Chen Fei's face turned grim. "Come with me. Now, if we wait any longer, it might be too late." His urgency left no room for doubt. He dragged the confused Yingxing toward the infirmary. Still trying to complain about the cart, Yingxing followed reluctantly. Chen Fei didn't even look back. But a short distance away, he turned and glanced at Zhao Yi. Zhao Yi was bent over, picking something up. "Strange, I just threw it here." Zhao Yi rubbed his chin, a curious light flashing in his eyes. It didn't make sense. A thumbtack had disappeared. After scanning the area, his gaze landed on the rust stains covering the skin on his feet. The blood had completely dried under the sun. The thumbtack, once shiny and smooth, had rusted beyond recognition. It had blended with the rust stains, its original shape distorted and twisted into a small pile of scrap iron. Ordinary rust doesn't change the shape of an object, so the thumbtack must have changed during the rusting process. If rust can deform a thumbtack, doesn't that mean it could affect other things too? Thoughts raced through Zhao Yi's mind. The sun had shrunk in the sky. Taking advantage of the dim light, Zhao Yi pushed his cart onto the lawn to collect rust grass. The rust fragments were razor sharp, so he avoided touching them directly. The sun, which had dimmed briefly, returned with full intensity. That melting feeling crept back into his mind. Zhao Yi picked up his pace. His shadow faded under the light. The emptiness in his chest grew stronger. There was no shade along this stretch of road. But Zhao Yi ran fast. When he reached the melting room, his shadow was still barely visible, just lighter. Zhang Ming behind him wasn't so lucky. Though not slow, he misjudged the distance and didn't abandon his cart in time. He failed to reach the shade, and under the relentless sun, his shadow completely dissolved. "What's wrong with you? Why are you all staring at me?" His body was melting. Flesh, blood, bone, dissolving like slime. Panic surged as he scrambled to find shade. He aimed for the wall nearby, where the sunlight didn't reach. But after only 2 steps, he collapsed. His legs had rotted into sludge. Worse, rust had begun to form on the wounds, spreading rapidly. Terrified, Zhang Ming clawed forward, leaving a long smear of blood under the blazing sun. He finally reached the shadow near the wall. At that moment, the sun slipped behind thick clouds. The heat dropped. Snap! Zhang Ming's eyeballs fell from his hollow sockets. They rolled across the ground, pupils upturned to the sky. The last traces of unwillingness in his eyes faded into the void of death. He was dead. Rust bloomed and spread over his corpse, multiplying wildly. Sharp curses echoed from the steel melting room, followed by loud bangs and clattering. Zhao Yi pushed the cart inside. The employee in charge of handling rusted items radiated a violent aura. Silently, he poured the rust grass onto the belt. Then, he studied the employee's hands. They were trembling violently, like those of a Parkinson's patient. Only 2 things could cause that kind of tremor. 1. Emotional distress triggering hormonal shifts. 2. The object being held exceeded the hand's capacity to control its weight. His hands are so heavy, are they rusting? He cursed the employee who brought the thumbtacks. Maybe the thumbtacks pierced his hand, causing infection. On the lawn, Chen Fei returned with Yingxing, whose leg had been amputated. "I'm sorry, but once a wound rusts, it can't regenerate." As for the cart issue, I'll clear things up with Zhao Yi later. As a cart here, Jiang Ming died because he broke the rules. You can use his. Yingxing grinned sheepishly, nodded, and started limping around pretending to weed. From a distance, Zhao Yi approached with a cart. Chen Fei looked at him and said, "Zhao Yi, come with me." Most of the other ghosts wore mocking smiles, enjoying someone else's misfortune. Especially Yingxing and Gangster. That damn human thinks he can compete for excellent employee. He doesn't deserve it. This place isn't safe for someone like you. It's too dangerous. I can help file your resignation. You should leave as soon as possible. Zhao Yi's face turned serious. I'm actually a time-space special police officer. The future has changed. Guxuan Town is in danger. The source, this factory, the threat level is Dragon class. We've reversed time and space, traveled through countless timelines, and now we're carrying out a secret mission to save the past. Are you okay? Zhao Yi answered firmly. Do I not look like I'm telling the truth? He didn't seem to be joking. Do you have anything to prove it? Zhao Yi pulled out a property certificate. Here's my ID. Class A Agent 7. Codename, James Banghard Liu Leiahan. Chen Fei stared at it for a while. Something didn't sit right. A time-space special police officer. And that name, it sounded like it would never pass a background check. Zhao Yi sighed, then pulled out another device. I knew you wouldn't believe me. Look, I brought the time travel machine. Toss something in, set a time, and it'll go back to the past. Chen Fei examined the machine carefully. It didn't look like any high-tech device. It looked more like a meat processor. You're telling me this thing travels through time? Of course, said Zhao Yi. Try it. Throw something in. Chen Fei hesitated, then flicked his wrist. A chain on his left hand whipped up, wrapped around a nearby dead tree, and tossed it into the so-called time machine. A loud rumble followed. The tree vanished. Sawdust sprayed out of the other end. Chen Fei pointed at the ground in disbelief. This is just a damn corpse shredder. Zhao Yi patted his shoulder earnestly. Hey now, keep it civil. This debris, it's a feature. The machine analyzes what you throw in, teleports it, and spits out a decoy. That way, no one knows it's a time machine. They just think it's a regular shredder. Chen Fei's eyes lit up. Really? Zhao Yi spread his hands. Why else would I come to such a dangerous place if I weren't on a mission? That seemed more reasonable than anything else he'd said so far. Chen Fei took a deep breath, his eyes now serious. You said the disaster in Guxuan Town started from this factory. What exactly happened? Zhao Yi spoke in a hushed tone. It's not that I don't want to tell you. It's too dangerous. Better that someone like you stays out of it. Chen Fei frowned. Who are you calling weak? I'm one of the few red-uniformed employees in the entire factory. Zhao Yi's eyes flickered. A keyword. He had many questions but held back for now. This mission is classified. If you want to know more, you have to join us. But know this, once you're in, you could be sacrificed at any moment. Are you willing to give your life to save the world? Chen Fei's heart pounded. A big organization. A chance to be a hero. That was his dream since childhood. I do. Zhao Yi's expression turned solemn. Comrade Chen Fei, stand at attention. Chen Fei straightened up, eyes full of determination. The organization is willing to accept you. But first, you must swear an oath of loyalty. I'll say a line. You repeat it. Chen Fei nodded. Zhao Yi recited with conviction. The long night is coming. I will watch from this day until my death. Chen Fei echoed. The long night is coming. I will watch from this day until my death. I will not marry, inherit land, or raise children. I will not wear fine clothes or seek honor. I will devote myself to my duty. I will not marry, inherit land, or raise children. I will not wear fine clothes or seek honor. I will devote myself to my duty. I will be the sharpest sword in the twilight, piercing darkness and questioning the light. I will dedicate my life to the organization and fight to free the world from suffering. I swear on my soul, if I stand alone, I will never retreat. I will fight until my last breath and shed my final drop of blood. Chen Fei was trembling, eyes brimming with tears. A minute ago, he was just a factory worker. Now, he was swearing to liberate the world. The system sent a notification. After a moment of silence, Zhao Yi reached out and shook the chainsaw on Chen Fei's right arm. Comrade Chen Fei, welcome to the organization. Thank you, Comrade Zhao Yi. First, I need to know more about this factory. Why do people and grass rust? And what are the rules here? Chen Fei went quiet, gathering his thoughts. He looked around to make sure no one was nearby, then whispered. An older worker once told me the steel processing plant is actually a kind of special laboratory. It's been around since before Guxuan Town even existed. There's something underground. It affects everything living nearby. If anything gets injured, it senses it. It feeds on rust and produces high-grade steel. That steel is processed further and sold to construction crews across Guksuan town. All the rusted material ends up being transported underground, so whatever it is, it's probably down there. He checked again to make sure no one was listening. As for the rules, they were set by a machine left by the original developers. They protect employees from supernatural harm. The uniforms are specially made. They look normal, but they're not. If someone starts rusting, their clothes fade. Once it hits a certain point, they become what the manager calls a rust corpse. They still look normal, but they're dangerous. That's what the red uniformed employees are for. We track down potential rust corpses. When you wear red, you can spot faded uniforms right away. You can even see the names printed on them. We record them, report them to security. Then we either eliminate them ourselves or wait for the scheduled purge. Zhao Yi listened closely. After a moment, he asked, "What about the black uniformed workers?" Chen Fei stiffened. "There are no black uniformed workers. Not now. I've worked here for decades and never seen one. But I've heard stories. Big Brother once mentioned, 100 years ago, someone in black did appear. And after that, something horrific happened in the factory, all because no one reported it in time." Even though Chen Fei hadn't witnessed it himself, it was clear his older brother had described the scene in such detail that it left a deep psychological scar on him. If the man in black was that powerful, killing everyone in the security room, how did your brother survive? Chen Fei frowned. That's the strange part. The killer didn't target every ghost. It wiped out most of the ghosts in the factory, then just stopped. It was like the man in black suddenly got an order and left. We never saw where he went. But my brother said something strange. He checked the security footage afterward. There was no trace of anyone in black leaving the factory. Chen Fei shuddered. Even retelling it gave him chills. In the end, my brother quit and went back to his hometown. Chen Fei, you're more connected in the factory than I am. Try to dig up some information about the rust. I'll check in with you later. Chen Fei nodded, a faint worry appearing on his face. Be careful of the new ghosts. They really don't like you and might try to harm you. Also, here, I got this medicine from the infirmary. If you get injured, spray it immediately. If the wound has rust around it, cut the skin near it first, then use the spray. Zhao Yi accepted the medicine and thanked him. Item 205 glue. Type consumable. Description: once, a deranged woman used this glue as a lubricant to permanently attach herself to her lover. The man refused amputation, so they stayed bound together until his death of old age. A twisted, tragic love story. Effect: spray or apply to a surface. After 1 minute it forms a thin film with adhesion strength up to 50 tons. Can also be used to prevent wound infection and stop bleeding. Manufacturer's note: I received the Nobel Prize in Medicine a week after launching 205 glue. Strange, isn't it? Zhao Yi rolled his eyes after reading the product description. Clearly, the manufacturer never intended it to become a medical item. He pocketed the bottle and pushed his cart back to work. Lon, an old ghost shouted in a shrill voice. This human brat's getting bold. Let's teach him a lesson. Let him know trash doesn't belong in a steel mill. Other ghosts chimed in. Yeah, how dare he steal the outstanding employee title from us. Wait, why is he back? One ghost pointed. All eyes turned to Zhao Yi in disbelief as he pushed his cart across the lawn. He started calmly gathering rust grass. The sun was out, the day bright and clear. Flowers bloomed, grass was green. A beautiful scene. No way. Is that really Zhao Yi? Didn't Chen Fei take care of him? They were shocked. Stealing another worker's tools was a serious offense, yet Zhao Yi was still fine. He gripped the massive scissors tighter. His eyes turned cold. Lucky bastard, he muttered with a sneer. But Zhao Yi didn't even look his way. That complete disregard, that was the real insult. Did you know? You're going to be in big trouble this afternoon. The ghost froze. You, it scoffed, hiding its rage. Zhao Yi just smiled. We'll see. He pushed the cart of rust grass away. The sun cast his shadow long on the ground as he disappeared in the distance. The gangster ghost's murderous aura flared. He glanced down at a rusty leaf stuck to his scissors, paused, then quietly pocketed it. His lips curled into a wicked grin. Noon, lunchtime. Zhao Yi ordered fried potatoes and tomato stew, sat down, and was just about to eat when someone tapped his shoulder. Brother Zhao Yi, sorry about earlier. I was out of line. He offered Zhao Yi a beer. Let's bury the hatchet. Just one drink, okay. Zhao Yi eyed the bottle, a strange smile on his lips. When someone's being kind for no reason, he's either a traitor or a thief. He swirled the bottle, looked up, and said calmly, what if I just don't want it? The gangster clearly didn't expect Zhao Yi to reject him. Under the stiff gaze of the gangster, Zhao Yi bent down and picked up a rust-stained blade from the floor. Holding it up, He smiled and placed the rust grass in front of the ghost. Is this your idea of sincerity? Many ghosts had already turned to watch. The old ghost looked embarrassed, but still insisted stubbornly. Brother Zhaoyi, please don't slander me. That clearly came out of your own pocket. What are you doing? A voice suddenly rang out from nearby. Several ghosts turned to look. It was Chen Fei. He approached with a stern expression. The gangster's eyes lit up. Another plan formed in his mind. Foreman, this human Zhaoyi is really vicious. He secretly put a piece of rust grass in the wine bottle and tried to trick me into drinking it. The lie came out easily, and many ghosts behind him chimed in. A strange sound echoed. The gangster froze and looked down. The thick chain in Chen Fei's left hand had wrapped tightly around his waist. You can't even lie properly. That unfinished bottle was clearly in your hand. I saw you take both bottles myself. You think you can trick me? You think I'm a pig? Chen Fei's voice was low and angry, his eyes glowing red. The chain exploded with terrifying force, flinging the terrified gangster straight out of the cafeteria. Chen Fei had controlled his strength well, ensuring the ghost wasn't actually injured. Zhaoyi could tell immediately. Chen Fei must follow rules that forbid harming normal employees without cause. He'd mentioned as much in one of their earlier chats. The cafeteria was huge, capable of seating thousands of ghosts. In the distance was an area watched over by another red-clothed employee. A skinny ghost looked over with a hint of malice in its eyes. Especially when its gaze fell on Chen Fei, there was a flicker of fear and coldness. Thank you for watching. Subscribe and enable notifications so you don't miss the next chapter.